Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Blessings to you. May the universe continue to offer you abundance and peace and hope. And here we are. And who we are with DBR is beginning right now. I'm Daniel Bernard Roumain. I am DBR. I'll be your host this evening. We have a very, very special guest. But before we get to that, I just wanted to spend a few moments and just say thank you. It's been a roller coaster ride this month, I think, for so many of us. And Halloween is coming up, and Thanksgiving, and Christmas, then the New Year, and the leaves have changed colors, and change has arrived, and change is coming. Change is coming to our country. Change has arrived in our Supreme Court, and I'm sure, like many of you, change is active, it's actionable, it's vibrant, it's unknown, and it's a partner. It's a partner to us all. We're all engaged in a pas de deux with change right now, I think. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about change, and change. And I'm interested. I'm interested in your voice, your perspective, your opinion, your fears, your anxieties. How are you coping? How are you dealing? How are you changing? Is change welcome or unwelcome? Are you embracing it or are you afraid of it? Is it inevitable? And whatever it is for you, is it a partner to you, with you, or is it something that you're fighting against? I have my own relationship with change, and more than that, I have a great partner tonight who we can ask these questions to and have a conversation with. Anna Deavere Smith is a incredible and wonderful and important artist, and I'm so fortunate to be able to welcome her to our show and to have a conversation with her. And you can too. We welcome questions and comments at any time, and I'll play a little bit of violin for you. But I think more importantly, we get to have a conversation with an international treasure and someone who has been leading the way and leading change in the performing arts field, in the political field, and in our culture for decades. And it's such an honor and a privilege to call her a friend and to welcome her to our show. Anna, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm so glad you're here. I feel better. I just feel better. And I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you. I know you're incredibly busy and you're doing so many things. And just wanted to thank you for taking the time to be here on this
It's
show.
great. It's great. But you know what? I'm no busier than any of us. I
Mm,
think, as artists, we're all having to have multiple balls in the air, right? Just to
yeah,
survive.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's like juggling.
Juggling. You juggle.
I do juggle. I do juggle. I'm juggling, but I'm dropping balls all the time too, you know. But I kind of wanted to first say, I just want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you coping? How are you? I think it's really
Yeah,
important.
I'm okay. A lot of people say, well, I'm hanging in there. I guess that's the general answer. But I feel blessed that this lockdown has given me a chance to do more writing,
Mm,
which I've always wanted to do in a more continuous way. And so I feel blessed, and I'm teaching, even though it's on Zoom at NYU. I kind of like it, right? For
yeah.
working with performers, is I can really see their eyes. I see them up close. So
Mm,
some of the things that I was worried about are turning out okay. How
oh.
about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm working. I have to say, I've never been. I'm performing more now than ever.
Mm.
And it's a strange thing, but performing online. But I have had some live performances at Lincoln Center and on the beautiful and important mural in Brooklyn, through the Billie Holiday Theater.
Oh,
And
great.
right, and working with Wendell Pierce
Yeah, Wendell's great.
and a few other and some other incredible actors who I cannot remember their names, and I'm sorry. And directed by Indira Etwaru a few weeks
Fabulous.
ago, and working with the Buglisi Dance Theater Company at Lincoln Center. About
Fantastic.
40 dancers in that space, in that
Wow.
kind of rotunda. So, but most of the performances are online. Most of my teaching, all of my teaching is online, including here at Dartmouth, and still teaching at Arizona State University as well. And you know, juggling, definitely juggling, and raising 11-year-old Zachary Daniel Roumain, he's probably watching and going to be heckling us anytime soon, I'm sure. But with that, speaking of our families, uh, you are the oldest of 5, and I'm interested in from your home to to college to your career. Can you kind of take us through that because I'm always fascinated by that journey.
You mean a thumbnail biography?
Yeah, the thumbnail biography. Oh, I love that. Yes, please.
Um, well, there's 5 of us. 4. My brother next to me sadly passed in
Mm. Oh,
2015.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And it's a big gap. I have a sister who's 10 years younger and a sister who's 11 years younger.
Mm.
I went away to college, to a women's college named at the time Beaver College. They accepted men and they changed the
Ah,
name. It's called Arcadia now.
that's right.
And then after I got out of college, I had $80 in an overnight bag and I left Baltimore for California.
Wow.
And
Ooh.
that's how I sort of tripped over acting as a possibility. It wasn't anything I was thinking about doing, but I just went to check out an acting class for fun. And I found out it was something I could do. And I think, that's lucky that I found something that I could do that was
Mm,
easy and that I got rewarded for.
right.
And so that was a different whole journey, going down that highway. And it,
Yeah.
it took me till I was 41
Mm.
to get any recognition because I was really, I remember so clearly the day that we used to have to write postcards, little clever things with our picture on the front to
Ah.
agents and people. And I
Oh,
and they were expensive.
right.
You have to get your picture taken. And I remember taking a whole bunch of them, throw them in the trash at a certain point, and going, you know what? I'm not going to do any more of these postcards
Mm.
because I was working on this process of trying to understand the relationship of language to identity. And I was
Mm.
interviewing people, and so I just decided to do that.
And I'm fascinated by that. I'm assuming so many of our viewers and our guests know your work, but for those few that don't, I am so fascinated by this process of reporting and journalism and inquiry and theater and the embodiment of it all. And this is just my own interpretation of your work, so forgive me, but I am struck by how you have completely changed and innovated the interview process and the monologue process for actors and made it something really vital and really important and really your own. Can you talk a little bit about that specific part of your process?
Well, yeah. I'm just interested in that relationship of how we speak. Does how we speak, not really what we say, but is how we speak an opportunity to find out something about a person's identity. And by that I mean really, if I take on the expressive
Mm,
vocabulary of someone,
mm,
will I be able to make the illusion? I mean, people always know I'm there, but they'll get the sense that there's this other person that I'm portraying who's very different from me. So I'm looking usually for highly expressive people
yes.
for my work. And also, I'm interested because I'm a dramatist in catastrophe, really. So
Oh,
around catastrophe,
oh,
you find very expressive
Yeah.
people. You
Yes.
find expressive people, some who are furious, some who have lost something. So, to go back to what you said, some who are trying to change, and
Mm,
in that time of trying to restore order to
right.
what's around them and out of order, they experience a kind of dignity of themselves, and they become very creative in the way they speak. And so I go looking for that, and that's what I put in my shows, as a result of that search for people who really would scream something very unique from a mountaintop. I just happen to be walking by.
And that's what I find so um, monumental in your work is how you can take a you talked about catastrophe such as the LA riots and the work that you did in Twilight, which was I think it was about hundreds of interviews. Is that right?
320.
320 interviews. And in this work that we're about to show, I thought it would be one 5-minute example of just how you can take word for word an interview that you did and turn it. I'm calling it a monologue. Is that right? Is that
That's perfect.
okay?
Or a portrait. You could call it a portrait.
Yeah, portrait. Can you talk a little bit about the piece that we're about to see?
Yeah, so I actually was asked to go into the Maryland Correctional Institute for Women, which became the first of a series of many institutions I've gone in for adults and for children. And really, this was for an issue for the New Yorker at first. And I went in and I interviewed this woman, Paula Jenkins, and she then has appeared in two of my plays, my play House Arrest, and then in a play called On Grace that I never finished. Actually, with a cellist, Joshua Roman, who you may
Oh,
know,
yeah,
and
we're good
he
friends.
he
Yeah.
was the beginning of my wanting to work with musicians on stage live.
Ah,
But
okay.
anyway, so this is Paulette Jenkins, who I interviewed at the Maryland Correctional Institute for Women,
Okay.
long time ago.
Yes. Yes. All right.
This piece is about a negative imagination. It raises questions about what nature is, what Mother Nature is, and about what a risk can be. And I got this in the Maryland Correctional Institute for Women. Everything I do is word for word off of a tape. And I title things because I think people speak in organic poems. And this is called A Mirror to Her Mouth. And this is an inmate named Paulette Jenkins. I began to learn how to cover it up because I didn't want nobody to know that this was happening in my home. I wanted everybody to think we were a normal family. I mean, we had all the materialistic things, but that didn't make my children pain any less. That didn't make their fears subside. I ran out of excuses about how we got black eyes and busted lips and bruises. I didn't have no more excuses, and he beat me too. But that didn't change the fact that it was a nightmare for my family. It was a nightmare. And I failed them dramatically because I allowed it to go on and on and on. But the night that Maisha got killed, and the intensity just grew and grew and grew until one night we came home from getting drugs, and he got angry with Maisha, and he started beating her, and he put her in a bathtub. Oh, he would use a belt. He had a belt because he had this warped, perverted thing that Maisha was having sex with her little brother and they was fondling each other. That would be his reason. I'm just talking about the particular night that she died. And so he put her in the bathtub. And I was in the bedroom with the baby. And 4 months before this happened, 4 months before Maisha died, I thought I could really fix this man. So I had a baby by him, insane, thinking if I gave him his own kid, he would leave mine alone. And it didn't work. It didn't work. And I ended up with 3 children, Houston, Maisha, and Dominic, who was 4 months old when I came to jail. And I was in the bedroom, like I said, he had her in the bathroom, and he every time he hit her, she would fall. And she would hit her head on the tub. It happened continuously, repeatedly. I could hear it. But I dared not to move. I didn't move. I didn't even go and see what was happening. I just sat there and listened. And then he put her in the hallway. He told her, just sat there. And so she sat there for about 4 or 5 hours. And then he told her to get up. And when she got up, she said she couldn't see. Her face was bruised. She had a black eye. All around her head was just swollen. Her head was about 2 sizes of its own size. I told him, let her go to sleep. He let her go to sleep. The next morning, she was dead. He went in and checked on her for school, and he got very excited. He said, she won't breathe. I knew immediately that she was dead. I didn't even want to accept the fact that she was dead, so I went in and I put a mirror to her mouth. There was nothing coming out of her mouth. He said, we can't let nobody find out about this. He said, you got to help me. I agreed. I mean, I've been keeping it a secret for years and years and years, so it just seemed like secondhand to me just to keep on keeping it a secret. So we went to the mall, and we told the police that we had, lost her, that she was missing. We told the security guard that she was missing, that she wasn't missing. And we told the security guard what we had put on her, and we went home and we dressed her in exactly the same thing that we had told the security guard that we would put on her. And then we got the baby and my other child, and we drove out to I-95. I was so petrified and so numb, all I could look was in the rearview mirror. And he just laid her right on the shoulder of the highway. My own child. I let that happen to. So that's an investigation of the negative imagination.
And as I take a moment to reflect on your work, Anna, I just think it's so important that the word that comes to mind for me is activist. That Paula Jenkins is a victim. Her children were victims, and that you give voice to that. That's how I feel it. That's how I interpret it. What is that like for you to be telling those types of stories that are actual, factual?
Well, I mean, that's a very disturbing story. And I think that Paulette would not say that she was a victim, and that in her own recovery was about facing the fact. I mean, and you hear her say that, I had to face the fact. I had to face the fact. So she saw herself as a part of this murder.
Yes.
She knew she was complicit. So, yeah, I think her own growth had to do with facing it. Yeah.
Well, as I think about the work that you do in film and in television and in theater, what is most satisfying or maybe even important for you?
Well, I mean, this work started all the way back around 1974 with a question about language and identity. And is identity imprinted on our own language? In other words, you might think I sound like my sister, but I don't. There's a phenomenon of people who have identical voices in families, kind of like identical twins, but you speak in a very different way than anybody in your life. It's one of the most creative things. And it's sort of sad when people all try to talk the same, because we have this potential to make a kind of music. I'm listening for the music in what people are doing. And so that's a long process that's been with me. And also that I've been searching for that which is not me, as an antidote of growing up in a racist society that tells me and told me that I did not belong. The way I dealt with that was to go very far, find the people who are nothing like me, and to solve the problem of my own belongingness by coming close to strangers. So this is at my core, this project. Now, I'm grateful to be able to do television and movies because I get to work with very talented people, and I also can make some dough. You don't make any money in the theater.
Right. Well,
I mean,
Anna,
it's kind
you
of
are
a deeply
honest.
not
Right.
cool thing right now, too, when you think
Right.
about there's a big
Yeah.
gap between what actors make
Yeah.
and what the people who administrators make, for example.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that, and we have to be honest about this. Is about equity. We need to be honest about this, right? We need to be honest about this issue between the commercial and non-commercial. And by the way, the difference is how, as a Black composer, as a Black actor, you may not be making as much as a white composer or a white actor. I mean, there's overlapping and
Hey, man, I may be treated differently on a set.
right.
I was in a show that I won't say the name, where
Okay.
we had an Australian director, and he kept giving me line readings. And you're not really together very often with the whole cast, but we had to all do this photo shoot. And I said, "Has he given y'all line readings?" No, that's not cool, man.
That
And
is
that kind of stuff always happens, and you can't say anything because television and movies in particular are very militaristic and very hierarchical. So you want to work, you keep your mouth shut. But I was the only one who's getting a line reading.
and that's the other thing. This notion of reputational risk. This notion of how do you gain power, or how do you keep working? This is
Keep
a
your
lot.
keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, yeah. But that actually brings us into our collaboration. We are working together on an opera for Lyric Opera of Chicago. I still can't believe it, and I love the fact that you are not only the librettist, but you are guiding the process. You are
No, I'm
leading
not.
You don't feel like you're guiding the
No, I
process?
think it's the three of us. I think it's really, and that's why I'm excited about it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you've done operas, man.
I have
This
done
is
an
not
opera.
new for
Yeah.
you. It's new for me.
I have
But-
done an opera. Yes, I did. Well, yes, I have done an opera. It was called We Shall Not Be Moved. Matter of fact, we have a clip from it.
Good. Let's
And
see it.
we're gonna see the clip. And the young man singing the role in this clip is John Holliday, who is a wonderful countertenor, has an incredible voice, which you'll see in just a moment. But also for our audience, John is also a part of our opera. He's going to be in his cast in our opera. So let's take a look at John Holliday singing "Love Is the Only Word Sweeter Than Black" from an opera I composed the music for, with the libretto by Mark Bamuthi Joseph. Check this out.
Oh, gee, say, love yourself, baby. Oh, gee, say, self-love leads to sex love.
Oh, gee, say, time did not reconcile me to my chains. It made me familiar with them.
Say black and here, yes. Say black and here enough. Say love is the only word sweeter than black. 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 Love is the only word sweeter than
That's John.
That's so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, isn't it?
It's so
yeah.
beautiful.
Well, thank you. And that's, we're very lucky to have John, and John Holliday is just one of our great countertenors in this country working right now, and it's going to be a pleasure to be able to work with him and Yuval Sharon, who's the director, and everybody at Lyric Opera of Chicago. Yeah. So we actually have a couple comments in the chat room from Andresha Mosley, who's quote super dope the collab. Wow. So I'm happy. Yes, I agree. I agree. What is the process for that? I'm just for everyone to understand. It's you're you are going to be working with people from Chicago.
Yeah.
And how is that? How can you talk a little bit about that?
The whole idea for me started with Renee Fleming, who
Yeah.
saw my play Notes from the Field, which is about the school to prison pipeline, and thought that I could be a part of this evening at the Lyric Opera, and that my focus is a group called Choose to Change, which is an activist and institutional innovative way to stop violence in Chicago, and we know that it's unbelievable there. But as you know, I decided that normally I'm doing interviews that I know are going to go on my voice and body. So I decided that I would start this process with interviewing the singers. And then once I've done that, I'll go into the field and interview the people who I can meet in Chicago, some of whom have gone through the Choose to Change process. And last weekend, a weekend before last, I interviewed Lucia Lucas, who's in Berlin right now, and also Gordon Hawkins. And I think it was your idea to bring Lucia
Yes.
into this process. And I got to tell you, I was just so taken with both of them and really smitten by Lucia. Maybe you will say something about why these particular singers were interesting to you. I know Gordon's at Arizona with you.
Yeah, Gordon is an incredible bass baritone at Arizona State University. We both teach there, and he is one of our great opera singers. Has been doing it a long time. Has sang on all the world stages, including the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City. And Lucia is an incredible singer who is transgender and is really an innovative is an innovative and an important artist who has always had a remarkable voice and a remarkable artistry, and is also very open about the struggle that her artistry and her voice has with unbinding courage has been able to confront what is a problematic field in the opera field. And I know for me, opera suffers from its own inability to confront its racism. I know that the American orchestral field suffers in its inability to see racism not only as malice but as malady. And I think the work that you have always done, Anna, I have learned from your work. Before I ever met you, I was a student of your words and of your process and of your performances. And I don't want to let go of that. I don't want to be all cool right now. I have benefited as a composer. Everything you just heard was informed by me seeing at Vanderbilt University the horrors of those LA riots, right? Of Rodney King being beaten down. And even now, just in Philadelphia, a young man who with a knife is being gunned down by officers with their weapons of choice. And I just thank you. I thank you, Anna, so much for doing work that brings together communities and puts their words and their stories and their suffering and their successes on the stage.
Well, thank you for your brilliance and also your apparent vulnerability, which I think is not a typical male thing. And I think it's beautiful, and it's in your work, man.
Oh, thank you. Well, Andresha, I believe I may have met and seen. She's an important actor, and she is actually doing Twilight. And she would love your advice. What advice could you give her as she embarks, on your work? And she's doing
the whole show by herself?
I think so, in November.
Wow.
Yeah. And yes, let's see. We're gonna Yeah, we'd love to know. She'd love to know. What advice could you give an actor doing Twilight, doing it in November?
Oh my God. Learn your lines. It's a lot of material.
Woo! Yeah.
It's like a lot of material. I think it's 43 characters.
Mm,
Take care of yourself is really the best advice I can give you because, first of all, it's a real vocal workout. It's a real, real vocal workout. You have to take care of your voice. You should not talk unless you are in the show. You
mm,
cannot go out to loud places, even if it's your mother's birthday. You just have to say, well, I mean, nobody's going in loud places anyway, so
right.
that's not a problem. But the biggest thing I would say is take care of yourself physically, take care of your voice, and take care of yourself emotionally because some of those stories are very disturbing. And it's kind of like drip, drip, drip. It does begin to affect your unconscious. So you have to really be careful with yourself and just be cool with being alone. Be cool with being a nun. Just be with the characters because you just don't have the space, believe me, to be with anything else or any other drama.
Oh, thank you for that. And by the way, you in addition to all the incredible things that you do, you also teach. Can you talk a little bit about your teaching at NYU?
Yeah,
And
well, I've been teaching for a long time. I
yeah.
was teaching while I was still a student, and I like
Mm,
teaching because I still don't can't answer the question, but I've always wondered, what is the particular actor's imagination? What is
mm,
specific about it? What makes an actor empathic? Which doesn't mean they're nice. We're nice. It's just that we can feel for others as others. We can put ourselves in other people's shoes. What is that particular talent? A
mm,
lot of people don't have that in life even. And then that has to be put together with
mm.
certain uh, uh, linguistic ability and certain some people can sing and dance as well. So I've been trying to learn about it. I still don't know. And I like uh, put groups of people. I feel that we are a kind of a laboratory for people and for
Yeah.
creativity. So I really love it.
Mm. Well, as is a tradition on this show, as we are both teachers and performers, I'm always asked to play a little violin, and I want to think about Paulette. Thank you for educating me. I don't use the word teacher or students. I use the word contributors. We're all contributors to a classroom in a world of ideas. Um, I was wrong, and I thank you for helping me understand Paulette's complicity in the murder of her daughter. And as a father, I am thinking about my child, but I want to think about Paulette's child. Do we know that child's name?
Maisha.
Maisha. I want to think about Maisha and that she's not alone. And this will help me. This is Bernadette. Nothing like it in the world. There's a beautiful Nubian queen burned into the peg box. But Bernadette, which is my mother's middle name, could be Maisha. So in this moment, I want to play. I'm gonna play an original composition. This is a lullaby. This is a
Wow.
lullaby for Maisha. Yeah, that she was not alone. As a Haitian person, we see time differently. So my father, who transitioned on April 22nd, 2013 at 1:07 p.m. He can go back and be there with her. I will be able to go back and be with her at that moment. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to be on that shoulder of that road. Presumably it was at night, and that she was not alone. And this is that lullaby for her. And this is what it sounds like.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and it's your words. So what I'm doing is Maisha,
Well, it's not my words. It's Paula Jenkins's words.
Oh
Right.
yes, oh yes, oh yes,
That's so
oh
beautiful.
yes.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, every child deserves a lullaby.
Yeah, I don't. Sorry. Yes,
And so
Anna.
many don't
Yes,
get it.
Anna.
And, you know, when you think about it, how
Yes,
your
Anna.
parents put you to sleep, how you face the darkness,
Mm,
how you face your dreams,
mm.
you know, lay me down. I hope I don't die before I wake.
Right, right,
You
right,
know, it's
right.
incredible. It's incredible.
Well, that is why I'm so excited to work with you, because I always say if there are children in your community, you have children. And you're right. Every child deserves a lullaby and words to go along with it. And I know in the work that we're doing, we're going to have a chorus of 100, the voices of 1,000, right? And I feel so fortunate that you are able to tell the stories that no one else can tell in a way that is so profoundly moving. You know, so I thank you for that, and I know our audience thanks you for that. And we have a quote, Anna. I've been so moved by your solo work, stepping into the lives and voices of others like fires in the mirror. How do you think about the ethics of your form of documentary theater? That's from Michael Bodell. How do you think about the ethics
Well,
of your
you
form of
know,
documentary theater? Big question.
nobody's in the show unless they want to be.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first ethic of it.
Right. That it's a choice. It's this. I keep coming back to this notion of a pas de deux, of this partnership. And well, Anna, we're at our time now. It's time just goes away, and I feel like I could talk to you for another hour, but you are juggling and you have places to go, and I'm just so glad you could land here for a few minutes with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm so excited about our work.
I really am too.
I'll be talking to some of the singers this weekend on Saturday.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to our process. But thank you for tonight. You know what's so wonderful about these places of captivity and creation is that this is going to live on. So all of these shows have their own life, and they end up being juggled from students and children and professors and audiences worldwide. So thank you.
I just want to say quickly too, the thank you to Dartmouth. I actually have an honorary degree from Dartmouth, and I was the fellow at the Montgomery House, and so I have very fond feelings about Dartmouth, and it's great to be back in the company of it.
Yes, we love having you, and we hope you'll come back. And of course, from Mary Lou Oleski on up and sideways, we are really looking forward to being back at the Hopkins Center for the Arts, live and in person. And I hope we have I hope I have a chance to maybe take Joshua's role.
Right? Anytime,
Hey,
bro. Anytime.
Yeah, exactly. We could actually do a pas de deux on that stage.
And I do house concerts too. I did a house concert for Joshua. So we got to get this vaccine. We got to get it back and vote. We vote, everybody.
And that's something. We're 6 days away, y'all. 6 days away. If you haven't yet, do it. Vote. That's right. Change is coming. We got to embody the change we want to see, as you've done in your incredible career. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. All the love for Anna Deavere Smith. Thank you.
DBR.
Yeah.
I'm playing with DBR.
All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.